All right, guys, welcome back to the Game Cafe Midseason Showdown. I am joined once again by Whitney Johnson here, and we are in top four now in our match. Our first top four match will be between Leonard Kraft III and Anthony Davis. These two players played in Swiss. Leonard won that set 2-1, and it was apparently a very close set. So hopefully we get more of the same here for this top four match.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for this matchup, especially since Anthony's running a Murkrow. I always get a little part of me gets really excited when I see not fully evolved Pokemon being used for whatever reason. In this case, being that Murkrow gets the ability Prankster while Honchkrow does not. So I'm just excited to see what support it can do and how it can help him with these matches.
Mm-hmm. And of course, he did mention that Murkrow, so let's just go over the teams right now. We've seen Leonard twice on stream already. His team is Tapu Lele, Tapu Fini, Garchomp, Arcanine, Porygon 2, and Muck. Anthony, who we have not seen on stream yet, is running that Murkrow, Magnezone, Tapu Lele, Garchomp, Marowak, and Milotic. So, interesting team on his end. Murkrow, not something we've really seen all year, so I'm definitely excited to see what that can do.
Yeah, so looking at the team matchups, depending on how he's trained his Marowak, it could be really important, if it's faster or slower than Leonard's Muck, because Marowak really relies on that thick club to dish out a lot of damage, and so getting knocked off could be a bad day for it. I also like seeing Milotic. It's a personal favorite of mine. And maybe we'll get to see it do some work keeping that Arcanine off the field, with that Intimidate deterrent.
Yeah, we do see that Arcanine, so that can be really important if Anthony can catch that at some point and protect his Garchomp and Marowak from getting those Intimidate debuffs. All right, and there are the teams. Once again, we'll go over them again real quickly. Leonard, Tapu Fini, Porygon 2, Garchomp, Arcanine, Alolan Muck, and Tapu Lele. Anthony, with that Murkrow, Tapu Lele, Marowak, Magnezone, Garchomp, and Milotic. So, as of right now, Whitney, besides that Murkrow on Anthony's side and the Milotic, what Pokemon in this matchup do you think can be potentially big?
Okay, so I'm really looking at this Magnezone right now. It's really only threatened by Garchomp and potentially Arcanine. And if he's using Tailwind on Murkrow, so Magnezone would have the capability to be faster than Leonard's team. It has a ton of special attack and is going to be able to deal a ton of damage. So I think playing Magnezone properly and then using your Garchomp there to try and help deal with the opposing Muck and Arcanine, I think that's the key to the play for Anthony.
Definitely. And you just touched on that Garchomp. If that Garchomp is packing that Tectonic Rage like we see so often, like we saw in Leonard's Grudge match against Ethan, that threat, just having no switch-ins to that Z move just showed so much because basically able to fire off a free nuke without any thought. So Leonard's taking a lot of time in team preview here, going down to the last second. So interesting to see what comes out from his side. And we are going to be jumping into game here. We have, of course, Anthony sending that challenge to Leonard. Leonard's going to lead that Porygon 2 Tapu Fini. Going to get that Misty Surge right out of the gate. And we see Murkrow and Magnezone for Anthony.
So one thing here, because Leonard has a Tapu Lele, which is going to block the priority moves from hitting the grounded Pokemon, it makes Murkrow using Taunt on Porygon 2 a little risky on that potential switch-in. But he has it covered with Magnezone on the field, threatening a ton of damage with Flash Cannon. So I think he's in a decent lead position here. Obviously, Tapu Fini being able to threaten with damage, but being weak to Magnezone is a big deal.
Yeah, we actually Tapu Fini go for the Protect. They're very afraid of that Magnezone. Well, Murkrow decides to go for that Tailwind, and we see a Thunderbolt onto that Tapu Fini Protect. Porygon 2 goes for that frustration, going to be taking advantage of that attack boost it got, dealing a lot of damage to that Murkrow, even with the Eviolite boost.
Yeah, so Murkrow gets the Tailwind up and takes a decent amount of damage in return. But even though Leonard took no damage, I still feel like this was a better turn for Anthony than it was for Leonard, just because getting that speed advantage and Magnezone still threatening that Tapu Fini a lot.
Mm-hmm. Be interesting here to see though if Leonard tries to stall out, try to counteract that Tailwind with a Trick Room potentially from Porygon 2, but we're gonna see Garchomp come in here.
Yeah, so this is a good switch, trying to catch that Thunderbolt going into the Tapu Fini, but Anthony makes a good read there, going for a Flash Cannon, dealing just under 50%, and Leonard not risking that taunt, goes for another frustration. So Murkrow goes down, but it's kind of like it's done its job here. It's set the Tailwind, and it's prevented Trick Room from coming up for a couple turns.
So we actually see the other Pokemon you hit on before the match, and that is the Milotic. Milotic is now threatening that Ice Beam onto Garchomp here. So Garchomp, not really in a good position whatsoever, can be potentially taken out by that Magnezone as well, depending on the damage roll. So, and we do see Garchomp switch out what will come back into his Tapu Fini. We saw Anthony punish Leonard on a switch earlier. Will he be able to do it this time with a Thunderbolt in the Tapu Fini? Wouldn't be surprised if we see that. We do see the Thunderbolt.
The Thunderbolt into Porygon, though. I was really excited for a second. I was like, did he make that read?
Not going for the cover-up in the case of the Tapu Fini switching. So good switch there by Leonard, getting a lot of damage off on a Milotic with that boosted frustration, and Tapu Fini gets in now for basically free. However, Magnezone is still there threatening it.
So as much as I would have liked to see that Thunderbolt into Tapu Fini, it's just too risky of a play, because I feel like a Garchomp Protect there is a pretty obvious safe play to make. Mm-hmm. And so just doubling into it and dealing no damage is probably not a good idea.
We actually see a Z move come out from Magnezone. It is going to be the Steelium Z, that corkscrew crash. Magnezone's unleashing its full force Z move. Who is this going to be targeting? I'm going to be doing a lot of damage to either of these Pokemon. It's going to be that Porygon 2.
Yeah, going into that Porygon 2, I really like that play. He's anticipating a Protect from the Tapu Fini there just because of the threat of Magnezone. Doesn't get it, but so targeting down the Porygon 2 and going for a recover there, it's a good safe play. But unfortunately, it looks like he did less damage to the Porygon than Porygon was healed by Heal Pulse.
Porygon 2 is back at higher health this turn than it was in the previous turn. So good play by Leonard there to go for the Heal Pulse, making sure whatever Porygon 2 took from these Pokemon would just be healed right back off. And of course, its taunt just wore off, so we could see you go for a Trick Room. We see the Side Swagger on the Porygon 2. Going to boost his attack up to +3. So Frustration going to be hitting even harder now. Milotic goes for another recover. Just hoping that it is not targeted this turn. Thunderbolt on the top of Fini. You can do a lot of damage, bringing that down to roughly 20% health. And Porygon 2 Frustration does so much damage thanks to all the boosts it has accumulated, bringing Milotic down to the red, actually, and potentially in range for a Moonblast from Tapu Fini if that is what it chooses to go for here.
Yeah, so I really like that play there. The physical Porygon 2 is not something I've seen really ever. And this Side Swagger, it's really cheesy, but it's obviously working out for him. He was able to deal a ton of damage.
But Milotic going to get the Scald off after Tapu Fini misses Swagger onto Magnezone. So Magnezone's going to get a Flash Cannon off onto this Tapu Fini, making sure Garchomp did not try and switch in there, and picking up the knockout on that Tapu Fini. So no more Misty Terrain for hit that side of the field. Porygon 2 is just going to be able to pick up this knockout with the Frustration, and that's very good for the Garchomp in the back. and is no longer threatened by that Ice Beam. So Garchomp will come out for Leonard, heavily threatening that Magnezone with a Tectonic Rage. We'll get Anthony's own Garchomp coming out, so could be interesting here. Garchomp, of course, cannot use a Z-Crystal if it was carrying one, thanks to Magnezone using it earlier. However, if it is packing Dragon Claw, it can KO Leonard's own Garchomp. We see Magnezone Protect here, and we get an Earthquake actually from Anthony's Garchomp, so hoping he can pick up the KO on the Garchomp here. But I don't know if he's going to get it. He does not get a Garchomp on Leonard's side, hanging on with 29 hit points. There is the Tectonic Rage, that ground Z move coming out, probably targeting down that Magnezone here. You may be interesting to see if this could potentially still KO through the Protect, given that it is 4 times super effective. So we'll just have to see.
It'll be able to deal a ton of damage to this Magnezone, even through Protect, and
does pick up the... Oh, it does not.
It holds on with that invisible focus sash there. And Porygon 2 recovering off all the damage sustained so far in this battle. So that Porygon 2 is just a threat. And if Anthony's not able to figure out how to deal with it, he won't be able to take this set.
We see a Rock Slide from Garchomp, unfortunately missing the Porygon 2 on Leonard's side. And Garchomp just going to go for its own Earthquake, going to hit the Porygon 2, won't mind that whatsoever. KOs the Magnezone from that low health. Does good damage to Garchomp here. And Porygon 2 is going to go for the Trick Room actually. So just setting up that Trick Room is going to let it go first and just pick up the KO now with Frustration in a move from Garchomp. So very well played game there by Leonard. We actually see his own Garchomp go for the Protect. So interesting play there. Porygon 2 Frustration coming out. And thanks to the +3 that it got throughout the game, it is able to KO that Garchomp. So physical Porygon 2 is doing a lot of work in his stream sets. So definitely something that maybe you people watching the stream might look into after this tournament.
Yeah, so that return doing so much damage, and it actually helped against Milotic because Milotic's special defense is so much higher than its physical defense, so it really helped it deal more damage that way.
Yeah, so if you're Anthony, you lost to Leonard in the Swiss, and you just lost this game. So what adjustments do you have to... You've had so much time to think about this set, yet you just lost that game 1. So what adjustments do you have to come up with on the fly here to win game 2?
Well, I think he did what he can to stop the Porygon 2, but I think he's going to have to do more than that. I don't think any of his Pokemon can pick up the KO even if you double into it. So Murkrow is definitely going to be important for taunting it so it can't recover off damage. There were several times that he had it down low and could have picked up a KO, but then it either got heal pulsed or recovered. So probably playing a bit more conservatively with his Murkrow, not letting it get KO'd so soon. That way he has the opportunity to taunt more things to keep Leonard from being able to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, I think another thing we could see from Anthony, we saw him punishing potential switches with that Magnezone throughout the game, like involving that Tapu Fini. However, the one turn he did not punish the switch in really threw the momentum back to Leonard because that Tapu Fini got in safely because he did not target that slot with Thunderbolt. And Tapu Fini and Porygon 2 just took over the game thanks to the Side Swagger combination. So that's definitely something I feel that if Anthony is able to prohibit this game, he'll be in a lot better position. So
yeah, for sure. And Leonard's got to be a little nervous because he's seen that Anthony's not afraid to make those reads. He went for flash cannons on Tapu Fini leads. So that's got to keep Leonard guessing a little bit.
All right, we're going to get the leads out here. Anthony is going to lead with Murkrow and Milotic this time, so not that Magnezone to threaten the Tapu Fini. And Leonard just goes for that same lead of Porygon 2 and Tapu Fini, and Porygon gets an attack boost. So, gonna be able to hit hard. Gonna be hitting pretty hard with this frustration if it's able to get it off. However, it could be boosted even more with Tapu Fini's swagger, but Murkrow can just put an end to that with a quick taunt. So, just Porygon. Going to be interesting to see if Murkrow is indeed going to go for that taunt, or if it's going to try and set up a tailwind like it did last game. I'm also interested to see if Milotic's going to stay in here, because it's not really going to be doing much here. Can't hit Fini very hard, not going to be hitting Porygon 2 very hard, so I would not be surprised if it does switch out like it does. However, we see Tapu Lele come in, and this could potentially be a very big problem with that Psychic Surge. If it
because now that's going to block any of his Murkrow's priority moves if they're targeted at grounded Pokemon. But the Murkrow goes for Snarl, which I really like.
And it misses the Tapu Fini.
Which is the one he wanted to hit with it.
Yeah, we see the frustration, and it's just going to KO the Murkrow. So good play by Leonard there, knowing that taunt was an option on Murkrow and just doubling into it and getting that threat off the field very quickly.
Yeah, so I think maybe Leonard was thinking similarly and was like, well, if he's able to taunt me and take me off my game, I can lose this game. So I want that off the field so I can play the control style that I want to play. So I think that was a good play by him. And it's going to make it tough for Anthony to come back, because if this Porygon keeps getting these swagger boost or is able to recover damage, it's going to be tough for Anthony to remove it from the field.
Yeah, we see that Leonard is going to preserve that side swagger duo for later. We see a Psychic and a Garchomp.
Wow, and that Psychic picks up a one-hit KO, so that is huge.
On Tapu Lele, so very big play there from Anthony. Thunderbolt into Tapu Lele, going to do good damage. And Garchomp being gone is actually extremely important, because now Magnezone can start firing off Thunderbolts with no fear of that ground type swishing in to take it.
Yeah, so Magnezone in a good spot there, resisting the attacks that Tapu Lele has, and also resisting that return, and it's got pretty significant defense. So getting rid of that Garchomp is a huge turn of events in Anthony's favor right there.
Yeah, we see Porygon 2 get another attack boost, so that frustration going to be doing a lot of damage to Tapu Lele if it's able to get one off. Of course, we saw Leonard's Tapu Lele is Choice Scarf, so it'll be interesting to see what move it locks itself into. We're going to see Anthony's Tapu Lele actually go for the Protect here, and a Moonblast from Leonard's Tapu Lele going to go into that Protect. Good play there. Flash Cannon from Anthony onto the Tapu Lele, going to pick up the knockout. So bringing this into a 3-2 advantage in Anthony's favor. So momentum is completely switched over to his side, and Porygon is going to give the Magnezone Trick Room now. So very interesting play there by Leonard.
Yeah, it's interesting that he was willing to go for the Trick Room there with his own Choice Scarf Pokemon on the field. But I guess he just figured that since Tapu Lele was probably going to get KO'd this turn, that it was no big deal to go ahead and do that.
Mm-hmm. So now we get that Misty terrain back on the field. Tapu Fini will be able to swagger the Porygon 2. We see Tapu Lele switch out, wanting to preserve its Psychic terrain for later turns. Porygon 2 going to go for that frustration on the Milotic. We saw this do good damage earlier, and it does almost half HP to Milotic. Thunderbolt from Magnezone going to do good damage to Tapu Fini. Actually, he go for a Moonblast here as well. So into that Tapu Lele, trying to pick up the KO. But Milotic is going to be able to take those two attacks and be able to start doing a little bit could recover off this damage, or it could choose to just go for a Scald on the Porygon.
Yeah, so now
Magnezone is actually going to protect here. So interesting play there. Going for the Protect when... Oh, actually goes for a double Protect, so just trying to stall a Trigger. But is Leonard going to punish this with a... No, Leonard goes for the Protect with Tapu Fini. I was curious there if Leonard was going to potentially punish that double Protect.
With the side swagger.
Yeah, side swagger. So potentially very risky play there from Anthony. Almost giving that Porygon a free +2 attack boost and getting up to +3.
I think at this point, Leonard is probably too nervous that a Tapu Lele switch-in could happen that would, cause him to confuse his own Porygon, which would be pretty unfortunate. So, I think...
So that double protected failed and is now KO'd by that Thunderbolt from Magnezone. But of course, Porygon 2 picked up KO onto Milotic. So Tapu Lele gonna get another switch in here. Probably gonna see. We could potentially just see another double protect from these two Pokemon and stall out another turn of Trick Room. Because as we have seen, that both of these Pokemon are faster than Porygon.
Yeah, and both of these Pokemon, Tapu Lele with that Life Orb boosted Psychic in Psychic terrain, and Magnezone with Corkscrew Crash is going to do significant damage to Porygon 2. If there's any two attacks that I think you could double into a Pokemon with to get the KO, I would say it's those two.
Yeah, we saw a Protect from Tapu Lele, and we saw a return into that Protect. So good play from Anthony. He's taking advantage of that and going for a Thunderbolt, getting good chip damage off on Porygon. So now, of course, he is free to fire off that Life Orb boost Psychic into Porygon 2. How much is this going to do? Going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, just the Psychic is plenty of damage there.
60%, and Magnezone just going to clean up this game with the Corkscrew Crash. So very well played there by Anthony.
Yeah, we saw Anthony take a unfortunate early loss of momentum when he lost his Murkrow for almost nothing because he had an unfavorable lead matchup, but he kept control, he kept his cool, and he forced a game 3 here. The two critical turns to me are the turn that he got the KO on Garchomp. You just saw the raw power that Tapu Lele has, and then that second to last turn when he chose not to protect his Magnezone, knowing that Magnezone resisted the return that
knowing that he does both of Porygon 2's attacks, took advantage of that to just get some important chip damage there. But like we mentioned, Anthony took advantage of Leonard's defensive switching and made some really good reads there to put this momentum in his control. And once he got rid of that Garchomp on the switch-in, Magnezone was just such a threat that game, having no fear of firing off any attack it wanted to. And especially because nothing on Leonard's side of the field, it resisted every attack that Leonard could have thrown at it. So it was a very good defensive wall and it was a very good offensive wall once that Garchomp went down. So we're going to have to see how Leonard preserves that Garchomp for the Magnezone this game. Or we could see a switch up here and see an Arcanine over the top of Lele.
Yeah, I think, since Anthony has brought Milotic to both of these games, that Leonard might be a little scared to bring his Arcanine still, especially since the two main attackers besides Milotic are both special attackers, so that Intimidate's not going to help a darn thing.
Yeah, or another though, he went for the Trick Room there with Porygon 2, so maybe he goes for the Muck option and starts to try and sweep through Anthony with the Curse.
Yeah, I think the Curse Muck is a strong option here as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see him bring that out.
All right, we get that Garchomp right out on the field for Leonard this game. It's going to catch the Magnezone right away. Anthony leading Magnezone, Tapu Lele, that Psychic Surge going to go off. However, this Garchomp is, as we saw in that last game, Garchomp is going to get knocked out in one hit by the Tapu Lele Psychic. So be interesting to see if Leonard is willing to risk a trade-off of Garchomp for Magnezone, or if he decides to try and protect his Garchomp and maybe get some good, and maybe try and get a return off onto this Tapu Lele, so Garchomp can in turn KO the Tapu Lele the next turn.
Well, given that the Tapu Lele is Life Orb, I tend to think that it doesn't have a lot of defense, so I wouldn't be surprised at all to see it one-hit KO'd by...
Porygon 2 going for a recover, actually, so potentially a misclick there by Leonard. or maybe just fearing a Psychic from Tapu Lele. However,
I think
Murkrow a free switch in, and what play we could see here is a Quash if it is indeed running that. Seeing that Garchomp just burned its Protect, and that Quash would allow Tapu Lele to get a free Moonblast or Psychic off into that slot.
Well, hopefully he doesn't go for a Quash right now because that would be blocked by the Psychic terrain. I also think Leonard did have a plan when he clicked Recover, assuming that his Porygon was going to be taking damage that turn. So I don't mind that play at all. It's basically a dead turn for both players because Murkrow's not really going to be that great out here anyways. This is the play that I expected turn 1. Yeah,
we see this Tectonic Rage from
Tectonic Rage into the Tapu Lele slot is probably going to be enough to pick up a KO. Tapu Lele's defenses are not the best, and since it's a Life Orb, I imagine it's probably not trained very defensively at all.
Lele gets knocked out in one hit, so this is just all free damage for Leonard. However, he's going to go for the Trick Room again, so Milotic is now threatening that Garchomp with an Ice Beam, and we can just see Magnezone come back in and just start being able to hit whatever it pleases with Thunderbolt and Flash Cannon.
Yeah, so that Garchomp is probably faster than Milotic and Magnezone, so it's going to be moving last in Trick Room, and it's definitely going to be threatened by the Ice Beam that Milotic has.
And because that we see Garchomp switch out, is Anthony going to punish the switch in? He did not punish it game 1, but will he punish it with the Thunderbolt into the Tapu Fini slot this game? Frustration from Porygon onto Milotic, going to do some good damage. And we see We saw a Flash Cannon into the Garchomp slot, actually. So I actually do not know what we saw into that Tapu Fini. It took barely any damage from anything. We apologize for that, guys. Stream lag. The feed from the Stream DS lagged on us, so did not get to see what that Magnezone went for. Seeing it did that little damage could have been actually HP Ice.
I imagine it's probably a hidden power of some type there, given the low damage. So now Leonard's in this position again where he's got his Tapu Fini and Porygon 2 out there, able to do a lot of support things.
Yeah, and we get the Side Swagger from that Tapu Fini. You're going to boost this Porygon up to +3 attack now. And because that Tapu Lele is gone, there's no way to turn off this Misty Terrain. So Murkrow, the only way of stopping this is going to be with a taunt, potentially. So, or a play we could see, could just see Murkrow, we saw it does carry Snarl, so that he could try and do something with that, but I just don't know what this Murkrow can do right now. We see a Feather Dance, actually. So, going to lower the Porygon's attack by, I believe it is 2 stages, but...
I like that play. It lowers the attack of the Porygon,
One, and Flash and in the Tapu Fini Protect, so not calling that switch in by Thunderbolting the Porygon. But Milotic is going to come right back out here, and Porygon just going to be able to fire off a Frustration into that slot and do good damage to it.
Now Milotic should be able to just recover off the damage that Porygon does here. But then Anthony's still got to deal with that Garchomp, which is going to be so threatening to his Magnezone.
Milotic is Protector, so very afraid of Porygon 2, going for that Frustration. It does launch that Frustration into Protect. Magnezone Flash Cannon into Tapu Fini. Should pick up the knockout here, and it does. Tapu Fini go down, but we see Trick Room run out, so that's a very big if Leonard has his Garchomp in the back, in which he does. So Garchomp is threatening a KO on that Magnezone. However, Milotic, of course, is threatening it right back with an Ice Beam. We could just see a return from Porygon onto that slot, just put it in range of a potential Earthquake from Garchomp.
Yeah, so The important thing here is that Leonard has already burned his Z Crystal, so he's forced to Earthquake his own Porygon as well.
Garchomp go for that Earthquake, and it will pick up the one-hit KO on Magnezone and doing good damage to Milotic, and Milotic going for that Ice Beam, and does pick up the knockout right back. However, Porygon 2 going to get off of frustration into Milotic, and Leonard Craft third is going to be advancing to the finals of this midseason showdown. Very well played there in Game 3 by Leonard.
Yeah, so in Game 3, he really had the advantage from the leads, and he made sure to play safe, but not so safe that he could be punished by Anthony's predictions, which he was really good at making. So, well played by Leonard. I think he excellently controlled that game and made sure he didn't take any unnecessary risks, but also didn't play so conservatively that he didn't ever deal any damage.
Yeah, and good tournament by Anthony. Nothing to be ashamed of in top 4, and can't really be too upset with losing to a player of Leonard's caliber. Of course,
Absolutely.
Leonard is easily one of the top players in the country and one of the best players in the Midwest. So, I mean, we'll see, and we'll get to see Leonard again in the finals. But next, we will be bringing you the second top 4 match. So please stay tuned for that.